Hello and welcome to the Global Travel Channel podcast show. I'm your host, Mark Philpott. If you're a regular listener to the show, welcome back. It's great to have you with me again, and your loyalty is very gratefully received. If this is your first time to the show, welcome. It's great to have you on board. Don't forget to tell all your friends, family members, and work colleagues about the Global Travel Channel podcast show and how much you love it. And don't forget to check out all of our previous episodes, which can be found on our website at www.globaltravelchannel.com. If you're into downloading them, you can get them from places like Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and on iTunes under the podcast section. The Global Travel Channel is also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so you can connect with us there. Now, on to this episode. This is the second in a series I'm doing around the Christmas and New Year period. A number of my guests from the first year of my show decided to agree to come back and tell us what they're up to for Christmas and New Year and what their travel plans are for 2020. So let's go over now and listen to what they had to share. So it's a very warm welcome back to the Global Travel Channel podcast show to a very dear friend of mine, Michael Thatcher from New York. Michael, welcome back to the show, mate.
Oh, good to be here, Mark. Thank you.
And you were one of my early guests on the show this year, and you told us all about beautiful New York City, and I was just asking you offline how things are looking for Christmas in New York this year.
It's looking pretty exciting in that, well, I have to be honest, I won't be in New York for very much of it. I'm actually on the 20th, Friday the 20th, I'm flying over to Switzerland, where my children are, and I'll be gathering with the kids. And I also have a very quick little business trip on sort of Sunday night through Tuesday morning, where I'll go down to Istanbul. So I have a couple nights in Istanbul, back to Switzerland for actual Christmas itself. And then I come back to New York on the 26th. And then on the 28th, I will drive up to Boston, jump on an airplane with my girlfriend and her daughters, and fly down to the Bahamas for a week.
Wow.
So I don't know how I managed to have this much travel all packed into about a 10-day period, but it seems like a real confluence of things where just kind of, you got some business here, you got your kids there, and you know, the girlfriend hooked everything up with her sister, and we've got a house down there that they've taken care of. So I'm just going along for the ride there, and a little bit of snorkeling, a little bit of sailing, and I just can't wait. It's going to be a fun and exciting Christmas.
Well, you know what? I've got to say, after knowing you for as long as I have now, that hearing your travel schedule like that is nothing that surprises me, really.
Well, you know, it's like the old days. And
it is like the old days, exactly.
It's funny. I think when you were traveling for work, you tried not travel for pleasure. And now that I'm not traveling that much for work, I travel for pleasure because I really love it.
Some would say that's a very balanced lifestyle. You've got it sorted out.
Thank you. Yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah. As you've always said, yeah, have your cake and eat it.
Have your cake and eat it. That's the goal.
That's the motto, yeah. So has 2019 been a good year for you? You're doing some wonderful stuff in the not-for-profit space. How's all that going?
It's going really well. We're at the cusp of making some really big changes, being able to evaluate a significantly larger number of nonprofits. It's been exciting. I've got a great team of people around me right now, and we're doing good work, and people are recognizing it as good work. And so, there's 2019's been a great year, and I'm looking forward to an amazing 2020. It feels like we've got all the right foundations that are built and ready to go. So it's time to go big or go home.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. Well, you'll be pleased to hear that I was invited on to another podcast show as a guest the other day, and the interviewers asked me about my work in the previous life in the non-profit sector, and ended up giving you guys a plug because I was asked the question about transparency in the non-profit sector and how all that works, and Charity Navigator's really doing the stuff there. So great work. Keep it going. I'm watching from a distance, but it's good stuff.
Well, be careful. We may end up in Australia.
time for me to leave then.
No, you join. No, never leave. Join.
That's the calling. Christmas 2020, lots of plans. What are the travel plans that you've got a kind of earmarked? Is there anywhere in the world that you haven't gone surfing yet? That's probably the question I should be asking you.
Yes, and there's a conference that I was invited to come speak at, Horasis Global something in Portugal in March. And you may be aware there's some pretty big waves in Portugal.
Yeah, indeed. Are you going to take it on, are you? Are you going to give it a go?
I'm not sure I'm going to go for the monsters, but I'll take some of the little chop on the side and have some fun. Half a 30-foot wave is plenty.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody listening, Michael used to be pretty much in the corporate world, and he was renowned for traveling to places all over the world to do business deals, but he'd always have a surfboard with him as well. So nothing's changed in that front by the sound of it.
Nope. Have surfboard, will travel.
Good stuff. Well, listen, would love to catch up with you and do another show with you next year on one of your trips, and maybe it's the surfing trip, because that'd be a good one to find out about Portugal and how all those tubes are going over there.
Yeah.
So when you have a moment in your schedule, so listen, I want to wish you and all your other halves and family members a wonderful Christmas, and remember to take it easy on some of those long haul flights. I'm sure you're a master of. Actually, should have asked you on the show. Actually, what's your secret for beating jet lag? Have you got a tip for all my listeners on how to beat jet lag?
Yeah, don't take a nap on the first day. Get out in the sun if there is any, and walk if you can. Take a swim. If you're somewhere where you can get in the water, you need something that's going to ground your body after being up in the air for that long. So walk preferably if you can go walk in the, on the earth, not on the concrete, but you don't always get that luxury. And just get out in the daylight and let your body realize that it's daytime, and sleep at night, not in the daytime, at least for the first couple of days, because and it's painful, but you get through that first day like that, and then the rest, it just kind of slips into place, and your sleep schedule quick. I do use melatonin, which I find really helps. But I think the real thing for me that's the most important is getting out and moving my body after sitting for 17 hours on an airplane. You got to move. You got to do something. And you want to do it out. Don't want to do it in the gym. Unless it's a swimming pool. Unless it's a pool. Because the water is amazing.
We're going to be a lot closer soon. Did you see that the Qantas Airlines have just been testing their direct flight from Sydney to New York?
I did. That's a crazy long flight. But yeah.
I'll let you know when the surf's up and you can jump on board and come down under.
Oh, I'd love that. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time. Yeah.
It has, yeah. Well, listen, have a fantastic Christmas and New Year, and we will stay in touch, and I will catch up with you, and we'll find a way to meet up in 2020 somehow. We'll definitely do that. We'll get on our bicycles and head along that expressway somewhere, yeah, that parkway.
I'd love it. Yeah. All right. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Mark, and have a fantastic New Year. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. We haven't spoken since you came on the show, and we haven't spoken actually since you went back to making doors and things. So how's all that going?
Awful. what would you expect?
I would imagine that. But I've seen you've been doing the celebrity tour of Britain, haven't you, with all your guest speaking?
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of guest speaking. I'm doing a big one in end of February. I'm doing the boat show in London for dinghies.
Oh, fantastic.
So I've got 2 days on the stage there, and I'm doing sort of the circuit with the sailing clubs now.
Yeah,
They're sort of kicking in. I was doing it all for free, but I'm now charging, unfortunately.
Yeah, good. You got to. Yeah.
So I just.
Well, you're doing more interviews than Boris Johnson is at the moment.
Well, apparently so, and my hair doesn't look dissimilar either. So we're like living a parallel life.
You're
Boris
much faster on your feet, though. I must say.
I'm not sure. I think Boris is very nimble at the moment.
So, have you been out to vote today?
I'm going to vote shortly.
Are you?
Yeah. It's only it's early in the morning here. So, well, not early, but I've been trying to figure out how to get your podcast technology to work for the last hour.
You'll have to get in your dinghy and go across the Atlantic if the UK doesn't get out of Brexit, yeah?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it'll make a lot of difference what happens, really. I think we'll figure it out eventually.
It's a bit like Y2K. Everybody thinks it's going to be a disaster, and then nothing happens.
It's fantastic, isn't it? There's fear of loss is being sown. The seed of doubt is in everyone's heads, and it's going to be cataclysmic.
So listen, I've got some big news to share with you today in coming back on my show to do the Christmas special, and that is that your episode is now ranking at number 2 of all time of all the shows that I've done so far out of the 84 shows. You're number 2 on the list.
Look at
How's that?
Do I get a big check for that?
No, but I should.
Very good. Very good. 2 of all time. Wow.
Obviously, I know how to pick good guests.
Yeah, obviously. Well, when the book comes out, it'll be it then. That's it. It'll be on there. You got to serialize it.
Fantastic. But I guess I was living in hope because you told me categorically at the end of the last show that you weren't going to let me in on the big secret about what the next big adventure is. Has that come to fruition yet?
Actually, I'm planning phase, which is unusual for me because planning phase normally requires about 2 weeks. But in this instance, I can let you in a little snippet, and it's not by any means a definite, but I am.
Is this a world exclusive? Am I getting a world exclusive?
Yeah, it would be actually. Yeah. Well, I've told 2 people so far, but
fantastic.
When I came back, obviously it wasn't terribly easy to readjust to the life of doors, and I went back to my warehouse, and my business was nearly bankrupt by the time I got home anyway, which I think it was nearly bankrupt before I left. So
nothing had changed.
No, not really. So I'm in the world of recycling old doors, which is a fairly unusual and niche product, and more of a labour of love than a business. But anyway, so fortunately, my wife had kept the business just about alive in my absence, and my middle son had been helping her out and various other subbies. And I've decided that I'm probably this winter going to start cutting up my doors into strip wood and turn them into a boat and then sail that boat through the Northwest Passage.
Fantastic.
So do you want to come with that one?
I would love to come on that one. That'd be fantastic. We can do live podcasts with the seals and the whales and everything else that we find along the way, because there won't be many people there.
No, but I mean, hopefully there won't be as much ice as there has been in the past either, which is bad news really. But I have seen there's a couple of Marines that have done this. They didn't build their boat out of doors, but they took a 17-foot boat across the Northwest Passage.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So originally I was going to build a really big one. Yeah. And now, having looked at it a bit more closely, it requires a boat that you can actually drag across the ice. So a lifting keel and some methodology of dragging would be of use. So, yeah, there you go. So that's it.
Absolutely fantastic. It's amazing news. So tell us, first of all, how long is it going to take to build this craft, first of all?
Oh, I've no idea. So I've got a niece who is going to introduce me to a set of architects who I'm hoping might pull a plan together for me. And then once the plan's there, I would hope somewhere between 18 months and 2 years before the boat would be built. A friend of mine who does historic racing cars said I'd be dead before it's finished. So that's quite a positive opening.
That's why he's passionate about historic racing cars. I can tell.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! There he is on the phone.
He must have heard you.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. In fact, I went motor racing with him the weekend. I went out on one of these vintage. Have you seen vintage motocross ever? You need to Google it. So in the 1950s in the UK, they started these eccentric farmers all started vintage motocross things. So you get a tiny little Austin A9 car, which is a Ford Popular. Sorry, I think they have. They basically take all the bodywork off, and then you go and try and drive it through muds and up hills and over logs and things like that. And you have one person that leans out and one person that drives flat out to try and get up a hill and things like that. So.
And you were the guy
I was the leaner outer, and and we all dressed up looking really stupid with our tweed hat and tweed jackets, and I had a really good laugh actually. Very, very fun.
And it was pouring down with rain, no doubt.
It wasn't actually. It was a
No.
lovely sunny
Oh.
winter day. Yeah, it was bright and sunny, and not a drop of rain to be seen.
Well, you're not going to get another one of those for 3 months, so you might as well enjoy it.
It's always sunny in England in the winter. Always sunny. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
right.
You need to all come to England and migrate. Not Scotland, but England.
Fantastic. Well, listen, that sounds like an absolute hoot, this major project. So it's going to be a solo adventure, of course.
I'm not sure actually. If I can find an idiot to come with me, then I'll try and take someone with me this time.
What about your mate that piked out of the last one that pulled stumps halfway through? Yeah, Jeff needs to step up, doesn't he?
I haven't even asked Jeff actually, but I've got a couple of other mad heads in the background. So
has Jeff even shown his head after the last debacle?
I'm thinking you're going to have to come take Jeff's place, Mark. Actually,
yeah, I'd love to, mate. I'd be into it. I don't know. I'm not too good on helping you build the boat, but I can get a few hundred sponsors though, mate, that can bring in some dollars.
That's it. Yeah. Good. Let's do that. Let's get plenty of victims. That's what we need.
Now we're leading up to Christmas. What's on Stick Daring's schedule for the Christmas holidays? Are you going travelling anywhere, or are you staying at home doing the home pud?
Head office, which is my wife, has just instructed me where I'm going. So I'm going to my sister's on Christmas Day, apparently, where there's 22 of us.
I assume your wife's going as well. She's not sending you off by yourself.
No, well, she'd probably quite like to, but so she's so we're going there, and we've got all my kids coming back. I've got 3 boys. They're all coming back. One's from Hong Kong, one's coming back from Southampton University, and the other from Newcastle University. Yep. One is bringing a girlfriend from America, and then I've got my sister's entourage, and my parents are still alive, so that's what we'll be maxing out on turkey dinner, which is what you do in a British or English Christmas.
Yeah, you sure do. Yeah. Well, you'll be having a far better Christmas this year than Prince Andrew will be, that's for sure.
I'm not going to comment on him.
Not many people are these days, even his mother's not saying too much.
Oh dear, poor old
He's in a bit of trouble, isn't it?
2020
is not going to be such a good year, I don't think. What about you, though? So you're going to be full on into getting this project off the ground next year by the sound of it?
Well, yeah, I've got two knee ligament issues going on, so I've got to fix those first. So they're being scanned. They were scanned yesterday, in fact. So subsequent to my trip, most of my body has started to fail. Right. So I can't think of many bits that haven't failed after it. It was all right going round-ish.
Well, you could be the first guy that goes through the Northwest Passage with a couple of bung knees, yeah?
Yeah, well, I've definitely got those. The right one's very bad at the moment. So, in fact, I went up to London yesterday to watch Only Fools and Horses in the Theatre Royal.
Brilliant.
That was very funny. And I can't hardly walk today because I had to walk about 3 miles across the escalators and everything. So
it's wonder you can still talk after watching that show.
Oh, I can always talk.
So big family Christmas and staying pretty much put in the UK. No plans to take the laser over to Brest or anything.
No, the laser is parked up now. I think for a few months. I think I'm going to park her up and just leave her to just stay. I'm supposed to be going to Australia, Melbourne, brilliant. To the Worlds in 13th of March. So I'll sort my knees out hopefully in the next month, and then get myself fit to go and do that.
Well, if that's the case, we're going to come down and support you and give you a big rah-rah from the sidelines.
Yeah, I think it's 13th to the 22nd, 23rd of March.
Okay, brilliant.
So I'm doing a talk there as well. So just got to find someone to pay for the flight.
I was going to say, British Airways got you covered on that yet?
Not yet, no, but that could be the next phone call.
Excellent. Well, listen, it's been it was fantastic having you on the show, and I know for a fact that you inspired a lot of people, and you brought a lot of crazies out of the cupboard as well, I must say. I got a few strange emails and all the rest, which I didn't pass on to you because it didn't warrant it at the time. But if you are in need of some desperate reading one night, let me know, and I'll flick you a couple of emails that'll make you laugh. But
Oh yeah, do send those on. Yeah, I'll put them up on the Facebook page. That'd be quite
on,
funny.
on the whole, though, the majority of people were very inspired by what you did, and we can't wait for this next thing to kick off. And I'll definitely have a chat to you about that offline. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, when I've got my book finished, I'm on chapter 6 now, so I'll send it over
Has
to you.
the
Perhaps we'll have a chat about
has
it.
the boat been enshrined in the UK Maritime Museum yet, or what?
Not yet. No, it's going to be displayed at the boat show in Alexandra Palace in
Oh,
March.
beautiful.
So, well, last day of February, 29th of February. It's a leap year, so it's very
There
appropriate,
you go.
really.
Couldn't pick a
So,
better day, could you? Really?
no, 29th of Feb. Yeah, that's it. So then possibly just disappear forever into the ether.
Well, listen,
It's
I
been good,
want to wish
yeah.
you and the family a fantastic Christmas and Happy New Year. And
And
I, for
you.
one, are definitely going to be in touch in the new year, and we'll see what we can make of life as it goes forward.
Brilliant. All right, thanks, Mark.
Jeanette McGill, it's fantastic to have you back with me on the Global Travel Channel podcast show. Welcome back, and welcome to our Christmas special episode.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Now, last time we spoke, you were doing things high up in mountains, and I'm sure nothing's changed. So, do you have amazing plans for Christmas to go travelling?
Yes, Mark. I am fortunate enough that I've actually discovered that I had a little bit more availability of time. So I decided that instead of going to Launa Beach here in the southern hemisphere, that I would actually travel again and take myself up another mountain.
Amazing. Whereabouts are you off to?
It's not too difficult to guess that I would go back to my second home, Nepal.
Yep.
So I will first be spending a lovely Christmas in Perth with my family and my nieces.
Yep.
And on the 26th of December, hop on a plane and get back up to Nepal.
Now, have they made you an official resident and citizen of Nepal yet?
No, but there's a whole cohort of us who do enjoy our time and the hospitality that the Nepalese provide. It's always a special time to go to Nepal.
So we're talking about Christmas on this episode. You just mentioned that you're off to Perth to visit family. Is that a regular thing that you do around Christmas time, spend time with the family?
Yes, after many years, as some families are, we divided across the globe. So we spent a while on different continents, and now that we're all together on one continent at the moment, it is quite nice to get together. Small family, but it's always good to do that. And it's also great to have the flexibility to have some time to go and do some other things as well.
Yeah, lovely. Now, you're ending 2019 with another journey back to the mountains. What does 2020 hold for you in terms of ambitions of mountaineering and the things that you love to do?
Would it surprise you if I said another mountain?
No, not at all. Whereabouts?
Would it surprise you if I said Nepal?
I don't want to say that it sounds like a stuck record, but there's a lot of mountains in Nepal, of course.
Yes, and obviously there's fantastic mountains around the world, and I look forward to going to return to some other places. One of my favorites is the Cordillera Blanca in Peru. But, for somebody like myself, when I set a goal, I would like to be able to complete a goal. So it would be an opportunity to go back hopefully next year and try again and see if one can complete Dhaulagiri and become the first South African to summit Dhaulagiri. So that's most definitely on my radar at the moment.
Well, listen, from the Global Travel Channel podcast show, we would like to wish you a fantastic Christmas in Perth and then on to Nepal. We would love to have you back on the show next year to talk about your mountaineering feats. And a pioneering South African woman is something that you should be very proud of. And we loved having you on our show this year. So we wish you all the best for Christmas and welcome you back again next year, Jeanette.
Thank you, and same to you, Mark.
Well, it's back onto the Christmas special today, and I have with me on the line Mr. Pietro Sassinelli from Sydney. Pietro, welcome back to the Global Travel Channel podcast show.
Thanks so much, Mark. It's an honor to be back with you. Yeah. By the way, from Italia, not from Sydney. Sorry, man.
I was hoping you would correct me, actually, so I'm glad that you did that. Now, listen, it's been a really busy 2019. Lots of people's lives have changed, and you were one of the very first guests that I had on my show way back then. And there's been a lot of other amazing guests come on the show then. So tell us, what's been happening in 2019 for you in your life?
Oh, your show has been happening. I've been listening to your podcast. It was actually quite interesting. Even the last episode, you know that I love motorbike as much as you do, and
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
really did enjoy, the KTM, riding around the world. It's such a cool thing.
Isn't
And
Anna so cool, right? Isn't it amazing
yes,
what she's doing? I'm
all
in
of your guests, mate.
I'm
All of
in
your
awe of
guests.
that. I'm in awe of that woman and what she's doing. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
well,
she's doing it on a motorbike. Like, come on,
yeah,
she's
it's
doing it on a
crazy.
motorbike, right?
Well, it's inspiring, right? So we know that we can attempt to do the same.
all these people that are like sailing around the world and flying around the world, but this girl's on two wheels. That's the best
Yes.
thing ever, right?
Yeah, we're a bunch of crazy people, so that's great, mate. It's life happening. Enjoyable.
So what was your favorite travel destination you went to this year in 2019?
Oh, my favorite destination, obviously, back home, Italy. But I gotta say that I really enjoy also Borneo, the forest.
Yes.
That has been such a great experience. I wouldn't I've seen since I was little. I always watched documentaries, and of course David Attenborough and his documentaries were kind of amazing, and he inspired me to look into Borneo. The history of the orangutans and the fact that they're an endangered species. And yeah, it's been definitely a crazy adventure, sleeping in the forest in a little cabin, going out during the night in the forest and having my body full of leeches all over the place. It's
Mm.
really, really, really cool, adventurous, and yeah, my partner enjoyed that too, and I was actually quite surprised she adapted to the forest.
Yeah, brilliant.
So yeah, that was crazy good, and then obviously Italy, and a lot more to come finally because we are finally planning to start traveling a little bit more on a regular base. So probably getting back on that gypsy life.
Great to hear. Great to hear. I just want to go back to your trip to Italy though,
Yeah.
because I loved following you online for that trip because I could see the passion coming out that you have for your home country and how much you miss your country. And it was very, very evident in all the things that you were posting online, just how much you love Italy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's the culture. It's the people. I love Italy itself. Obviously because art, because it's such a different landscape wherever you go. You can travel for 100 k's and you go from the beach to the mountains, and it's uh it's just great. You don't get tired of going around and around, and you never uh, finish to explore that place, that country. So it's just beautiful to be back there and look at my own country under a different perspective, because it was the first time where I've actually been tourist in my own country, coming from overseas after a long time, or actually more than 5 years in Australia. So it's a totally different. It's an eye-opening experience, completely different perspective. And I've been tourist with my partner, which she's never been to Italy, and yeah, we did really get to enjoy that adventure together. And obviously on the plus side, I've got my family there, so you get to taste the real authentic food from the family. So that's great. In fact, I think as I was talking before about the fact that I became vegan, as soon as I go back to Italy, I'm just gonna switch to pescatarian.
Now, tell all my listeners, what does a young Italian guy do for Christmas in Australia?
Christmas in Australia. Well, Christmas in Australia is gonna be camping trip down to Haynes Beach, Dobbs Bay. I've been wanting to go there for a while, and I think it's just about time to go and visit one of the widest beaches in the world, and maybe take a nice photo with the drone, and having the opportunity to kayak around there.
Yeah.
And then straight after is the most exciting part, because the New Year's Eve we're gonna spend that amazing time of the year in Iceland. So really looking forward to spend the winter in the amazing winterland, kind of like a fairy winterland.
So
Um,
what made you choose to go to Iceland as a destination?
Well, you know, as a photographer, that's pretty much one of the bucket list place, other than obviously your country. And I know that you're so happy about it, New Zealand.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely, Iceland is that place where you want to go if you're into landscape photography, and especially during the winter, you get the northern lights. Only 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours of daylights each day, but
Mm.
the light is always very diffused. It's never harsh, so it's like the perfect condition for photography. And
Mm.
besides, I never traveled through a real glacier, never explored a glacier, hike on a glacier. So this is going to be the first time, and never explored an ice cave. There's a lot of first time in this trip, and um, I guess it's really one of those places where if you're into wanderlust, you can't just skip it. You gotta go to Iceland once in your life.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd love to have you back on the show after you come back and tell all my listeners about beautiful Iceland and what you got up to and how it was and all the rest of it. And I would like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I want to thank you very deeply from the deepest part of my heart about supporting my show and being one of my first guests on the show. It was a pleasure to have you on and talking about your passion of photography. And let's do it again in 2020.
Well, I hope that this podcast is gonna grow even more for next year. And you're definitely an inspiring person, and it's a pleasure to be your friend. And I'd love to come back to your podcast, and maybe next time from another part of the world, maybe from Italy, or maybe who knows, from somewhere else.
Great idea. Okay, Pietro, thanks again. And we'll speak again in 2020.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, so what I would like to mention is about next year, and also I want to wish all of your podcast travel guests a wonderful, happy holiday season and exotic travel experiences for next year, for 2020.
That's
And
lovely. Thank you very much for passing that on.
well, it's interesting. I really enjoy watching some of the specials and also seeing the comments people make about them. So it's a wonderful thing you're doing, and I wish you well with it into the future. What we have in mind for the next year is Cheryl's goddaughter from Berlin is working at Epcot. When we were in Berlin in May, she sent an application into Frankfurt, and they hired her for a year. So we're going to go down and visit her at Epcot and Disney World in February. And she's a wonderful musician and also a delightful person. Later on in the year, we're going to take a 32-day cruise from Los Angeles to Singapore via Alaska. We go down to Japan for 4 different ports, and then to Taiwan, Hong Kong, 2 spots in Vietnam, and then we arrive in Singapore, which will be our 8th time in Singapore, I think.
Yeah.
So from there, we may do some other little side trips. We might even go down to Malaysia, or that's up to Malaysia, down to Indonesia. We haven't ever been there, even though they're just off the coast of Singapore, some islands and so forth. But so we wanted to add another country and maybe some other spots down there.
That would be fantastic. I think the Singapore government should be giving you permanent residency status by now.
Yeah, they should. We've really worked hard at it, but it's not so easy when you're not a resident there.
So what's been your most memorable travel experience of 2019, Ray?
Well, this year, our trip from our transatlantic from Florida to the Azores, and then on to Bruges, Rotterdam, and Copenhagen, staying on the same ship and taking a Baltic cruise. The highlight of our year was St. Petersburg, the Hermitage, Catherine's Palace, the Peterhof, the incredible castle out there. And we had a 2-day tour. We did book the trip through Insider Tour, which is based in St. Petersburg. We had a marvelous guide named Alexandra, and we had a driver. And she was born there, and she also happened to be a musician. and is an excellent tour guide for the last 40 years. She said she just couldn't make a living in music, so she went into touring, travel, and so forth, and just a wonderful experience. I think that was our highlight, because the Hermitage is an incredible museum with, I think they have millions of art pieces with only so many on display, so you'd never be able to see them all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that sounds like an amazing trip, as does the trip from Los Angeles down to Singapore on a cruise. I didn't realize there was actually a cruise that you could go that entire way on.
We didn't either. Cheryl actually found it online, and this actually completes my around the world by ship. Because I first went to Europe on a ship in 1959, the P&O line from LA to London, to Tilbury docks. So it's and the others we've added in the last 5 years, make it completely around the world by ship, which was the goal of mine.
Fantastic. Well, I'm absolutely humbled by your ability to continue doing these amazing trips, and I'd love to catch up with you again next year and talk about some of your latest travel adventures as well, Ray.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure talking to you, and again, happy holidays and a very happy 2020.
And the same to you and Cheryl, and please pass on my best regards.
I certainly will. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
So it's a very warm welcome back to the Global Travel Channel show to Regina Ong in Singapore. Regina, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How is everything in the land of wonder and hope?
All is good here. We are still, hopes are high, I guess, with the festive season round the corner.
That's brilliant. Now, it was great to have you on the show this year. We talked about Russia, your amazing trip with your company through Russia and doing a road trip from St. Petersburg to Moscow. And it was fun. We had a lot of great feedback from people listening to the show. And a lot of people actually asked me, why doesn't my company send me to Russia for a trip?
You need to change company.
Yeah, that's it. You need to change company. So tell me, what are your plans with your family for this Christmas time?
Yeah, so this Christmas will be just a quiet one, which is the way I like it actually. We are just going to spend time with the family, like a gathering over food. And the most important part of Christmas for me is to be able to attend Mass with my family. So we'll probably just go to the church that we usually go to, the Blessed Sacrament, and we will start the day with a Mass, the Christmas Mass, and then followed by our family gathering. Yes.
Now, I have my guests are from all over the world on this show, and we have a lot of cultural differences. So what's the typical kind of Christmas experience in Singapore for Singaporeans?
Actually, it really depends for me, because as a Roman Catholic, the experience of Christmas is very much about the Mass. That is a highlight for me actually. Usually before welcoming Christmas, there is a period called the Advent season. That's when we prepare our hearts. There is a time of preparation. So for each week, the church will light a candle signifying peace, hope, joy, and love. Love is, of course, when Christ is born on Christmas Day itself. So for me, that is my central experience. But of course, if you're a non-believer, then it's more about the whole shopping, the hype of the festivity. You busy yourself to shop gifts for loved ones.
Are you confessing to me that you won't be doing too much shopping?
I have done some, yeah, but just for close friends. Mainly for, yeah. I've done some, but I'm not too crazy about it.
Not too crazy. Okay. Now, what about your travel plans for 2020? We're starting a new decade in 2020. It's a whole new 10 years ahead of us.
Wow, can't believe.
Where are you going to be heading off to next year for your travel?
So, before I just go into next year, my last travel for this year will be just 1 week before Christmas. I will just be driving to Malacca and Desaru with my family. We are kind of sick of flying, so we just take a road trip. Few hours drive to Malaysia, and to experience the food, the culture, and just to spend time with the family. For next year, it's going to be exciting. The first half I'll be to Bali. I'll be going to Bali. It will be the first trip that my husband and I go since my children were born, so it's just the two of us. Managed to get my parents
Oh,
to help.
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Now, you do realise that Bali is full of Australians, so you'll probably be surrounded by them the whole
Yeah, I'm
time.
sure. It seems to be your favorite destination, yeah?
Well, it is for Australians, but not for us New Zealanders. Yeah, we prefer other places. Whereabouts are you going? Is it Bali is your main trip for next year?
No, Bali is just for the first half, Fukuoka, Hawaii with the company. Amsterdam, I've not decided yet. Not Amsterdam, sorry. Anaheim. Yeah, I've not decided whether I'll be there. If not, I'll be going to Dubai for a global conference. That would sometime be second half of next year.
Have you just turned into a global travel agent or something, have you?
That's the beauty of my career. You help people plan and you travel for free.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, well, I'll tell you what, you're going to have to come back on the show next year and have a chat about some of those trips you're going to be doing, because they all sound very exciting.
Yeah, sure.
Have you been to all those places before?
Japan, yes, but not Fukuoka. So yeah, those places that I've mentioned, not yet.
Okay, so it's going to be all new experiences for you in 2020.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, well, great. Well, we're going to welcome you back on the show next year and have a chat to you about those things. In the meantime, you have a wonderful Christmas with your family and enjoy everything. And I will be in contact with you not too distant future.
Sure. Merry Christmas to everyone on the Global Travel Podcast channel.
Thank you very much,
See you.
Regina. And you know what, folks? It's absolutely fantastic to have Zan from Where Girls Wonder back on the show again. Zan, this is the fourth time. Welcome back.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. It is so wonderful to chat with you again.
Well, look, it's been quite a year. We were just talking about it offline, and we're rapidly approaching the holiday season, the Christmas period. And you've done some amazing trips this year. I'd really like to know how your year's been, and are you traveling for Christmas this year?
I am not traveling for Christmas this year, but I am trying to experience as much Christmas as I can just within the local Los Angeles area, and it's already been a whirlwind. So I'm not traveling far, but I'm definitely getting it in terms of quality.
That's for sure. So if you're out there listening to Zan once again, wheregalswonder.com is where you need to go. There's a fantastic collaboration going on with Zan and her bestest, which is Julie from down there in Phoenix. Hi, Julie. Shout out to Julie today. And yeah, you guys are connecting with some amazing people around the world and sharing that journey with us. So talking about plans for the future, what's 2020 hold for you? A start of a new decade.
Yeah,
That's
well,
exciting.
Actually, I have something pretty exciting planned for Thursday, which coincidentally is my birthday, but on December 5th, you'll have to come back and check out Where Gals Wander. I can't disclose what it is. We have an embargo agreement with this particular client, but it's going to be pretty cool and on the red carpet. So yeah, so excited about that. And then we're already talking with some folks planning a trip out to Gatlinburg, which has been on my bucket list forever and ever, to go see the Smokey Mountains and have sort of a really cool trip planned for that as well, and negotiating those deals today. So that'll be in April. Yep.
So what timing did you say that's going to happen around?
So the trip out to Gatlinburg and Tennessee and some moonshining is going to be happening in April.
Oh, lovely. Lovely time of the year to go and do
we're
that.
still trying to finalize plans for January, but that's still not locked down quite yet. And then February, I'll be in Florida.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to catch up in the new year for sure and have you back on the show to talk about some of these amazing trips and what you've been up to. But on behalf of myself and my little platform here, I'd like to thank you very much, not just for being a guest on my show, but also for being a very strong supporter in the background and helping me get started on this journey.
Oh, absolutely. And same to you. And I wish you and Oscar very happy holidays.
Thank you, Zan, and we'll catch up with you in the new year. Until then, you have a wonderful time over Christmas. Stay safe and stay out of any bushfires, please. So it's a very warm welcome back to the Global Travel Channel podcast show to Mr. Ian Ugarte. Ian, welcome back to the show, mate.
Thank you for having me back.
It's been a busy year for you, I know, but what are the plans for Christmas this year? Are you going away travelling?
Yeah, we actually do the normal thing. We live in Queensland now and moved away from the family, so I'm a descendant of Spanish migrants, so Australian born. And what we do at Christmas time is we all go down to Sydney, and there are 46 to 52 people every year which are directly involved with my dad came out with his sister and his brother, and we're all cousins and uncles and aunties that sit around that table, so we're all first relatives, and it's just an amazing experience. From there we'll go off to Hobart. We'll spend a few days in Hobart. We actually own a sports centre down there, so the kids just love hitting a racket around and swimming in the pool or whatever. We catch up with the managers, and then we're back for New Year's Eve back in Queensland and spending the rest of the month of January in Queensland at home because we hardly are ever here.
Holy Moses, I do have one question in regards to what you just shared. Are you going to be renting out the Olympic Stadium in Sydney to fit the family inside?
Yes, we are a family that's been known to have many children. My sister's got 5 kids and we've got 4, and and that's been the heritage really that's happened over the years. So that's why we've got so many relatives. So yeah, the Olympic Stadium looks like a good option.
Listen, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show this year. I've really enjoyed connecting with you as a human being, learning lots from you, but also enjoying the engagement that we have. 2020, do you have a lot of travel plans already booked in?
I've got one major travelling plan coming up, and as we discussed in the podcast that we did earlier in the year, I love running marathons, and I do the big ones. So August, Kilimanjaro is booked in, so we're doing the Kilimanjaro Marathon, which peaks at 6,000 metres in altitude. Should take me 11 to 12 and a half hours, depending on how I go on the day, but that's a big one booked in. And backing onto that, I'll take my whole family over to Europe for about a month to 6 weeks, which is awesome.
Wow, fantastic. Well, it goes without saying that after the Kilimanjaro Marathon, you'll be back on the Global Travel Channel to tell us all about it and to give us some tips as well, because I'm sure there's lots of people out there that would like to do it, and you can give us first-hand experience if you're up for that.
Absolutely. I'm up for anything when it involves you, Mark.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Nan, I wish you and the family a very happy Christmas. Thanks again for being part of the Global Travel Channel story, and we'll catch up with you very shortly, mate.
Pleasure, and keep up the good work.
There we are. That was the final episode in our Christmas New Year special from the Global Travel Channel podcast show. And today we heard from Michael Thatcher from New York, who is spending a lot of his time over Christmas New Year sitting on an aeroplane going from one side of the world to the other to be with family and friends. Then we heard from Neil Peters, aka Stick Daring, who earlier in 2019 actually sailed his laser dinghy around the entire coastline of Great Britain. Amazing feat. He was telling us today about his next adventure, which means he's going to be building a boat and sailing it up to the Northwest Passage. That's going to be exciting. We'll be following Neil closely on that one. South African superstar Jeanette McGill, who is a infamous now climber of high mountains across the world. We caught up with Jeanette as she was about to embark on another journey back to the Himalayas, her second home, and we'll be catching up with Jeanette through 2020 to hear about her amazing feats that she continues to do in the world of mountaineering. Pietro Sassinelli, our Italian friend who's living in Sydney, was off to Iceland for his holidays, and we're going to catch up with him when he gets back. So if you've got Iceland on your bucket list to travel to, be sure to listen out for this episode. Pietro will give us all the insider's knowledge on traveling to Iceland. The incredible Ray Kelly from Palm Springs in California was talking to us about he's about to embark on his bucket list item to finish off sailing around the world on cruise ships and doing the whole circumnavigation by using different cruise liners at different times of his life. An incredible journey and a wonderful story from Ray Kelly. Regina Ong from Singapore shared with us the amazing trips that she's got coming up this year, which include Fukuoka in Japan, but also Anaheim. And she's doing a lot of this for her business, so find out how you can get onto Regina's train. Zan Bauer came back on the show from wheregalswander.com, and Zan was telling us about how she's going to be spending a lot of time in the Los Angeles area over Christmas, and hopefully safe and well away from any bushfires. But she's got some grand plans to get over to Tennessee in 2020, and we're going to be catching up with Zan to hear about how those trips unfold. And then last but not least, End Ugati shared with us his plans to go and run the marathon of Mount Kilimanjaro. That's going to be an extraordinary story, and when End comes back and has successfully completed that marathon, we'll catch up with him. So again, if you've got Mount Kilimanjaro on your bucket list, End's the man to listen to and get a whole lot of reviews on what it's like and how to go about it. So there we go. There's an extraordinary group of people who are all inspiring in their own ways, heading off around the world again in 2020. I wonder where you're going this year. Drop me a note and let me know. I'm interested to find out. And if you're even interested in coming on the show and sharing your inspiring travel stories with the world, then drop me a note and I'll be only too happy to speak to you about how to be on the show. So there we go. That's the last of our Christmas special for 2019 and 2020's new year. We're starting a new decade. There's so many places in the world for us all to get out there and see. Things to do, people to meet, and lives to change. So that's it for this particular episode. My name is Mark Philpott. I wish you all very happy and safe travels in 2020. Until we meet again, I wish you all bon voyage.